Should junk food adverts be completely banned on public transport across the UK to fight the obesity epidemic? Well, that's the call today from one of Britain's most powerful politicians.
The London Mayor Sadiq plans to implement the ban for the 1.37 billion passengers a year that use the capital's transport network. What is it that makes you think that banning these adverts will have any significant impact? What's the evidence of that?
Well, good morning. Advertising clearly works. That's why companies are queuing up to advertise on the public transport network, on TFL transport for London. So what the proposals today that I've announced is to ban unhealthy foods being advertised, unhealthy food or drink high in fats, high in sugar, high in salt, on the public transport network, on tubes, on trams, on buses and on the London Overground. And we know that families and children feel pressurised when it comes to these adverts. That's why advertisers advertise on the public transport network. And we're saying if you want to advertise on TFL, they've got to be healthy foods rather than those that are unhealthy.
We've been asking our viewers on Twitter whether they agree with your call to ban junk food on public transport. I was pretty surprised, actually, by the result. 29% agreed, but an overwhelming 71% of them disagreed. It's not clear whether they disagreed because they like junk food or whether they think it won't work, but certainly the individual comments that have come in are overwhelming that it won't work, particularly when in rail stations, just outside the stations, it's still allowed for these junk food outlets to be selling them.
Well, the Transport for London network is the most profitable public transport network in the world. There must be a reason why people use our network. 40% roughly of advertising outside the home in London on revenue takes place on our network. So we have a lot of the advertising taking place on tubes, trains, buses, bus shelters and the rest of it. But your viewers are right. By itself, it won't solve this problem. It's got to be part of a package of measures that we take as City Hall, but also government needs to take and councils. Let me give you a couple of examples. So I've used the planning rules to say from now onwards, no new takeaways, fast food outlets should open within 400 metres of schools. Why? Because children at the lunchtime are going to these fast food takeaway places and eating unhealthy foods, high in fats, high in sugar, high in salts. But the government needs to do more as well. They've got to give councils the power to restrict the number of fast food takeaways in town centres. They can't at the moment stop a proliferation of these places. And the heartbreaking thing is this. In the poorer parts of London, many families haven't got access to healthy, nutritional foods, and they're exposed more to these unhealthy adverts and to unhealthy foods. And that's one of the reasons why we've got this ticking time bomb where obese children, well, I'm afraid, grow up to be obese adults, which has all sorts of physical problems, psychological problems, is a strain on the NHS, causes misery to the individual and inhibits their life chances as well.
It definitely needs to be tackled. One of our campaigns here that we're really getting behind is something called the Daily Mile. Have you heard about this? It's basically youngsters in school running as far as they can for 15 minutes. I just wondered, you're very influential, if you could back it and then try to encourage schools to do that. It's had a massive impact on health, on obesity, on concentration. It would be great to have the Mayor of London's backing.
I fully support G&B campaigns to get children to do more exercise. It'll make you happier, it'll make you healthier, and the evidence is you'll learn more in the classroom if you do this running every day.
Well, it's nice to talk to you about junk food and what you think about that. Clearly, it's something you're passionate about.